there, folks. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad you could make it. I'm sure by now you've seen quite a few turkey recipes on YouTube with titles like The Only Turkey Recipe You'll Ever Need or The Absolute Best Way to Cook Turkey. Well, this is not one of those videos. Today we're going to be doing an experimental cook that happens to be with a turkey, and we're going to be doing it inside of our convection smoker. The convection smoker that we have from Smokin' It Smoker is absolutely amazing, but there is a significant learning curve. And so if you are in the market for a convection smoker, or if you currently have one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, because we have got a lot to talk about when it comes to convection smoking. In today's video, we're going to be cooking a turkey, like I said, in the convection smoker from Smokin' It. The turkey is not too big, 9-10 pounds. And what I'm looking for is how long it takes to cook, how well it takes on smoke, what the end product looks like. Is it juicy? Is it dry? You know, how does that convection affect the turkey? What does the skin look like? So I've got a big old list of notes right here in front of me. And what we're basically doing is an experimental cook. In essence, I'm kind of showing you behind the scenes of what's later going to be a much bigger video on the ins and outs on convection smoking. So a lot of experimenting going on today. I thought it would be fun to make this video public. And truth be told, I have no idea what's going to happen. I am going to change the way we process today's turkey for the cook. And in order to get the best results, I think I'm going to rely on the help from the Typhur SYNC DUAL GOLD. This is their upgraded wireless thermometer. I don't know if you guys remember, several weeks back, we did a review on their standard model. Well, this is the upgraded model. It's got 2 probes, and we're going to be using this in today's cook. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Let's get started. This is the turkey we're going to be working with, roughly about 10 pounds, not that big. And today we're not going to do a whole lot to it. We're just going to get it into a brine solution and then let it rest in the fridge overnight. So to do that, we're going to pull out the briner. And what I did off camera was I actually set the turkey inside the briner and then filled it up with enough water to cover it. And then I pulled the turkey out of the briner and then measured how much water was left. And that's how I know how much brine solution to make. The total ended up being about 6 quarts of water, and that's going to be perfect for our brine. I like doing it this way because you basically make just what you need and you're not wasting a lot of spices. Let's set that to the side and look at the spices we're going to be using. Salt and sugar. And while technically the sugar is completely optional, you can 100% omit it. If you do use it, it's going to give you a slightly better color and help balance out some of the other spices. If you choose to only use salt, that'll be totally fine as well. Let's move that forward and look at some of the other aromatics and spices we're going to be using. As far as some of the aromatics go, we're going to be using some rosemary, some thyme, and some sage. These are in the dried version. If you have fresh, if you can get your hands on some, unfortunately I could not, that would probably be the better way to go. I do have some toasted coriander seed and some freshly cracked black pepper. Now all of these are optional. You could choose to use all of these or none of these. These are all going to be accent flavors, very subtle elements to the flavor of our overall turkey. Let's not forget about a couple bay leaves. And now let's get everything going. So I'm going to take a couple quarts of the cold water that we had separated for the brine. So we have 2 quarts in this pot and 4 quarts remaining of cold water in our container. At this point, we're just going to add all of our aromatics, our salt, our sugar, and stick it on the stove to heat it long enough so that the salt and sugar dissolve. That's it. Once the salt and sugar dissolves, we could take it off the heat and then combine it with the rest of our cold water. Onto the stove it goes, and now we're good. So everything has been dissolved. It smells amazing. This is exactly what it should look like. And I'm going to pour this concentrated brine solution into the 4 quarts that are remaining of our cold water. Right at the last minute, I thought, let's bring some orange peel into the mix. I thought that that would be a nice flavor. Now remember, your brine solution should be cold when you pour it in with your turkey. That's why I had very cold water to begin with, and it rapidly cooled the water that came off of the stove. So remember, don't pour hot water onto your turkey. Make sure it's at least, 40 degrees or below. Let's go ahead and give it a little twist, cover it, and into the fridge it goes. This is going to brine for 12 to 24 hours. Let's talk about the wireless thermometers we're going to be using in this cook. And these wireless thermometers are going to be instrumental in ensuring that we don't overcook our turkey. Look, no matter how you slice it, turkey breast and turkey thigh cook at different temperatures. If you try to cook your turkey breast to the same temperature that you cook your turkey thigh, let's say 165, 168, whatever that is, you're gonna need a lot of gravy. And so what we're gonna do for this video is separate all the parts, and we're gonna use the Typhur SYNC DUAL GOLD. Like I said earlier, this is the upgraded model. It's got 2 wireless probes each one clearly labeled. And we're going to stick one probe into the turkey breast and the other probe into the thigh meat, ensuring that we cook both of those pieces absolutely perfect. Now, before I say what I'm about to say, I want to make it clear that both the standard model and the upgraded gold model are extraordinary units. They do a really great job. But what I really like about the upgraded gold is that, for starters, it doesn't use Bluetooth 5.4 in order to connect the base to the wireless thermometer. It uses a sub 1G frequency. So what does that mean? Well, it means that it's less sensitive to interference. So the connection between the base and the probe is going to be a lot more stable. It also has a lower power consumption. So it's not going to be as draining on the battery on both of these units. It also means you have an increased range between the probe and the base. If you put the probe down, you could walk 3,000 feet with the base and they're still going to be connected. The standard model has a 400-foot range, so definitely an upgrade. For me, the connection was absolutely amazing. We put this in our ceramic grill, our commercial stainless steel ovens, our stainless steel smoker, our pit. Absolutely no problem. We never lost connection once. Now, the connection between your phone and the base, that's a totally different connection. Now, that still uses either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Personally speaking, I like the Wi-Fi option because it is unlimited range. You can literally go anywhere you want, and as long as this is synced up with your home network, you have unlimited range. Each probe has 5 sensors that go into the meat and 1 sensor that reads the ambient temperature. And all of that information is being fed into an algorithm. So by the time you're done, whatever it is you're cooking will be cooked exactly the way you want it cooked. Another cool upgrade between the gold and the standard model, one that I like, is that the probe temperature is now rated for about 930 degrees, whereas the standard model, the probe was rated for about 700 degrees. So if you're doing really hot sears, you're doing anything that gets maybe live fire, the gold option is absolutely perfect. And as far as price goes, they're pretty similar in price. The gold is a little bit more expensive, but right now during Black Friday, if you check the description box below, there is a link that allows you to get the gold, the upgraded model, the dual or the quad, for cheaper than you could get the standard version. So definitely worth a peek. Let's put this baby to use and see how it performs. It's now the next day, and today's the day we cook our turkey. But first, we're going to do a couple things to it. Now, everything that we're about to do to this turkey is completely optional. Like I said at the beginning, this is 100% experimental. We're just having a little bit of fun with flavors. And then, of course, we're going to see what we can do in our convection smoker. So here's our turkey out of the brine. I did give it a quick little rinse. And the first thing we're going to do to this turkey is spatchcock it, which means we have to remove the spine. Very easy to do. I'm using some kitchen shears. You could use a knife, and cutting on the right and left side of the spine, you can easily remove it. Don't toss it though, because this makes an excellent gravy. Now that we have the spine removed, we can go ahead and work on the other side. So just a quick little flip, and what we want is the breast side up, and with the palm of your hand, push as hard as you can on the breastbone, and you should hear it crack, and your bird should be a little flatter. What we have to do is separate the drums and thighs from the breast, as well as the wings, because let's face it, the drums and thighs cook at a different temperature than the breast meat. And we don't want to overcook the breast so that we can have properly cooked drums and thighs. So we're going to separate those right now. We're going to remove this piece right here, put it in the container with our spine and our turkey neck. And right here where you have this flap of skin, I'm just going to cut that towards the breast meat. Notice how we're doing that. We're exposing the bottom part of the thigh. Same thing with the other side. Very good. And if you grab the very bottom of where that chest cavity is, notice where my hand is right here, and lift up, you'll see 2 very thin flaps of meat that you can very easily cut away. And all we're doing right here is we're just separating that chest cavity from the drum and the thigh. And the only thing that's connecting it is this very tiny piece right there at the very bottom. You can use your knife, once again, or also with kitchen shears. Let's give it a little snap. There we go. Absolutely perfect. Very easy to separate. The only thing that's connecting it now is a very small flap of skin, at which point you can just use your knife and then cut it away. Not a problem. Do the same with the other side. And now you have drums and thighs separated and ready to cook. All right, now that that's done, let's work on the wings. The wings are pretty easy because all you got to do is find the joint that connects it and then cut around that joint. And I find it easier if the breast side is down. So let's turn the bird
to where it's facing us, and then you can see directly under the wing, kind of the armpit of the wing, so to speak. With your finger, you can feel where it connects, and then just bring your knife directly into it. If you want, you can put a little bit of pressure and then expose that so that you can cut around it, no problem. And there you go. Now you've got one wing separated. Do the exact same thing for the other. Start at the armpit and then work your way around that joint, and now you've got those. As far as the very tip here, this little tip doesn't have a whole lot of meat, and it would actually work better in your stock. So I like to go ahead and separate it. You don't have to separate it, but once again, with my finger, I found where it connects, and then with the knife, just slice right through it. Very easy. It actually slices super easy. With the finger, I'm looking for it. Once you feel it, there it is. Give it a little cut. No big deal. All right, there it is. So our bird has been completely taken apart. We've got our breast, our thighs, and our wings ready to go. And I think I want to add a little seasoned butter. So to some room temperature butter, I'm going to add paprika. That's smoked paprika. We've got onion powder, garlic powder, a little toasted coriander that was ground into a powder, and then a little pepper. Actually, a lot of pepper. Back in Louisiana, we would always fry up a turkey, and it was always injected with this pepper-forward butter marinade, and I like that pepper bite that the turkey delivered. So we're going to be adding this to our butter and then rubbing it under the skin. Like I said, though, earlier, 100% optional. That looks absolutely perfect. Okay, let's get this onto the turkey. The thing I don't want to do here is open up the skin so much so that the butter leaks out all over the place, right? So I know eventually it's going to leak out because it's obviously not sealed, but I want to try to keep as much of it in there for as long as I can. So I'm just going to separate the skin from the meat and then add a little butter, work it in with my finger so that the top section is covered with butter. As far as the breast go, I'm going to use the backside of a spoon so that I can open it up a little bit further. I can go deeper with the spoon. And now that I've got that opened up, we're going to add a big old dollop to each side of the breast. That's just going to sit there. It's going to baste during this cook, and hopefully it's going to be amazing. What I got to tell you, I can't wait to get into this thing. Speaking of which, let me know in the comment section below, what's your favorite way to prepare a turkey? I can't tell you how many different ways we've made turkey. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I've never bowled a turkey. Tell me if you've ever bowled a turkey for the holidays. That'd be kind of wild. All right, with the paper towel, we're going to dry the skin off of the turkey, and then just for good measure, why not? Let's add a little olive oil. Now, just so you know, I'm not adding the olive oil because I think it's going to make the skin crispy, because I don't think we're going to get crispy skin, although, you know what, we'll give it a shot. I'm adding it for color and a little bit of flavor. All right, let's turn on the Typhur SYNC DUAL GOLD and get the probes pulled out. Very cool unit. I've had a chance to really use this one as well as the Quad, and both great wireless thermometers. Notice one is labeled 1 and the other one is labeled 2. Very easy. We're going to stick the one labeled 1 into the thickest part of the turkey breast. Right up to the black line, there's like an indicator line on that wireless thermometer, and that lets you know that you have the temperature sensors in the meat. That's where you want them. And we're going to stick probe number 2 into the thickest part of the thigh meat. We need to now set up the cook. So for probe number 1, we're going to go to poultry, and then under turkey, let's click breast. I am going to reduce the temperature down to 145 because I want the finished product here to be anywhere between 145 and 147, 148, something like that. Once we're done, let's click next. A little visual on how to insert the probe. We've already done that. And cook number 1 is set up. So let's now set up cook number 2. Notice the temperature is reading beautifully. 39.8 degrees is what it says it is. We're going to click the thigh meat under the turkey option this time. And for the thigh meat, I think I'm going to reduce the temperature to 165. I want the finished cook right here to be somewhere between 165 and 168, give or take. But you can bring it up as high as, 185 if you'd like. And we are good. Both of our probes are set up, and it is time to cook this turkey. All right, into the smoke room we go. And let me show you what we're going to do to get this thing set up. I am going to put the probe directly on top of the smoker, turn the smoker on, and we're going to cut that to about 50%. We are going to go ahead and place the thigh meat towards the back, the breast in the center, and then the wings along the side. This is a convection smoker from Smoking It. And if you want any information on this amazing smoker, check the description box below. They've got a great Black Friday deal going on right now. Let's not forget about the drip pan. Catch any of those beautiful drippings. Turn that into an amazing gravy, because you got to remember that butter is going to be slightly browned. It's already seasoned. It's going to have a beautiful smoky flavor to it. You definitely don't want to throw that away. All right, let's look at our programming for this digital smoker. Let's open up the app on our phone and then go to cooking profile. And as far as the temperature and time, I'm kind of going to be doing this manually. So I've got it starting at 225. And then when we've got about an hour left for the turkey to cook, I'm going to bump that temperature up to 350 degrees. I don't think we're going to actually get to 350 by the time this turkey's finished, but like I said in the beginning, this is an experimental cook in the convection smoker, and so you know what? Let's just see what happens. As far as the wood goes, I'm using about 75% pecan and 25% apple, but if you want to use 100% apple or 100% pecan, totally acceptable. We're using the Bellows cold smoke generator to apply smoke through this cook. And the reason I like using the cold smoke generator, because you can totally add wood to the firebox and that would work as well. But in my opinion, the cold smoke generator applies a nice steady stream of smoke through the entire cook, and you can really kind of control the speed that you add the smoke. And so I like using the cold smoke generator, but that's just a personal preference. Let's take a peek at the top. Convection fan is doing its thing. This is at about 30-40% speed, something like that. If you really want to, you could crank this up to 100% and get that air movement just ripping inside that smoker. I don't find it that necessary, but it is an option. This is going to cook at 225 degrees until the turkey has about an hour of time remaining. And how do we know that? Well, check this out. If you look at the Typhur base, and my phone has been getting notifications as well, it's telling me that we have about an hour left. Hour 16 minutes on the breast and an hour and 1 minute on the thigh meat. So now that we have an hour left, I'm going to go ahead and crank the temperature up to 350 degrees. So let's open up the app, and all we're going to do is move it from step 1 to step 2. And now the smoker is going to, increase the temperature to 350 degrees. And let's look at this one little thing, because I've heard a lot of folks recently talk negative about wireless probes that have the ambient temperature sensor on them, like the Typhur. Well, I want you to look at this. Notice the ambient temperature on the wireless temperature probes, 278 and 276. Notice the ambient temperature in the smoker. You see it? 276. So the ambient temperature in the smoker is the exact same as the ambient temperature on the probe. Now, it's not always like that, but it's generally not too far off. And so I thought that was worth mentioning. All right, it looks like our turkey breast is done. Oh, look at that. That looks good. I should have turned off the convection for the time being because that smoke's just blowing right in my face. The wings also temped out at about 165, so we're going to pull those. And then just cover it. So this is going to stay covered until the thigh meat is done. One of the things that I like about this probe is the algorithm that it uses to predict when your food is going to be finished. So notice right here, the temperature says 143, and it has only a few minutes left before it gets to our set 145. The other one only has 16 minutes left, so we're going to let that continue to cook. And with less than 1 minute left, our thigh meat is done. And notice we're pulling it at 161. Because the algorithm knows during the resting period, this is going to rise in temperature by at least 4 degrees, 5 degrees, something like that, which is going to be absolutely perfect. Cover it with foil, let it rest, and I want you to see the temperature of the breast as they've been resting. It reads 147 degrees Fahrenheit. Absolutely perfect. This is going to be incredibly juicy, very tender. This is a great temperature for your turkey breast, by the way. If you've ever tried to cook it at 147, you ought to give it a shot. And now, the thigh meat needs to rest. Once it gets to temperature, we're going to get a ready on our base. It's time to eat.
All right, guys, our beautiful smoked turkey is ready, and I'm loving the way that it came out. I mean, great looking color, smells amazing. Let's go ahead and give our turkey a try. And this is just so tender and so incredibly juicy. I'm loving this. Here we go, turkey breast in. Wow. Oh, wow. That is so good. Super moist, melts in your mouth. It's got a great texture, seasoned perfectly. I gotta tell you, this may be my favorite way to cook a turkey. Between this way and deep frying, it's hard to tell, but I can say that the way we cooked it today is delivering flavor unlike any other way I've ever prepared a turkey. Let me go in for one more bite here. That turkey breast is so tender, so juicy. Incredible. Let's get in on some of this thigh meat and see how we did with this part. Very nice, very tender. Here we go. Beautifully smoky, perfectly seasoned, cooked perfectly. Let's get another piece, but with some skin on it. There we go. Beautiful piece of mahogany colored skin. Boy, that skin just boosts that smoky flavor. Incredible tasting turkey. Skin is great. I wouldn't say it's crispy. It's certainly not soft, but it's not crispy. It's kind of somewhere in between. And the reason is because when you cook a turkey, you really need to get up to that 350, 375 mark in order to get a crispy skin. And because we started with a slow roast, basically a low temperature, so that we can get maximum smoke flavor, it's very difficult to go from 225 to 350 under convection. And during that time, when we raised the temperature, the turkey was finished way before it ever hit 350. So we were left with a beautiful turkey, perfectly cooked. It just didn't have crispy skin. One more bite. Today's turkey was cooked in a convection smoker from smoking it. And I want to say from start to finish, it took about 2.5 hours. The last time we cooked a turkey, a couple years ago in our smoker, we did not use convection, and I think the total cook time was about 6 hours. So the convection system definitely sped up the cooking process, and what we ended up with was just an incredibly juicy, this is white meat, juicy product, very flavorful with a beautiful smoky element. Nice. If you're not currently using wireless thermometers in your cook, I'm going to put a link to the ones we used in today's video, the Typhur SYNC DUAL GOLD. It's got the sub 1G frequency that allows better connectivity and longer range from the base to the probes. And my experience so far with these probes has been incredibly positive. So much so that I got the quad. So basically you have a 2-probe system and a 4-probe system. They both work exactly the same. The only difference is this one has 2 extra probes. And if you don't do a lot of smoking meats or barbecuing, don't even sweat it. These work great in your oven. We have a couple commercial ovens and they have no problem connecting. We also deep fry with these. We put them in our sous vide water bath. Absolutely amazing. Make sure to check the description box below because Typhur was kind enough to offer a couple discount codes for not only the 2-probe system, but the 4-probe system as well. The Typhur SYNC DUAL GOLD and the Typhur SYNC Quad Gold. This is a Black Friday sale, and I believe right now you can get 15% off, which is one heck of a deal. Have better control of your cooks with Typhur's wireless thermometers. And as far as the food we made today, the results were delicious. But I would like to see that skin a little bit crispier the next time we do turkey. So the one thing that I would do different, especially applying to this particular smoker, the convection smoker, is instead of putting the turkey in cold and then turning the smoker on, what I would do is I would preheat the smoker with the convection off. Once the smoker gets to about 350, put the turkey in exactly the same way that we did today. I thought that was perfect. Temperature probe in the thighs, separated, temperature probe in the breast, kind of right in the center, and then close the smoker down. At which point we'll turn the convection on, start adding smoke, and then let the turkey cook. The 2 probes we have in there will let us know when the thigh meat is finished and when the breast meat is finished, so we don't really have a big problem there as far as overcooking the turkey. But I do believe roasting hotter in the smoker while applying smoke will crisp up that skin and still give us an absolutely beautiful flavor. That's all I got for you folks. Thanks a lot for joining me on this experimental cook. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on a single one of our uploads. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you in the next one. That is so good.